Mercurial mercenaries. Hopefully you've just watched my first reaction to Ivy, the second track from Frank Ocean's Blonde album. And this is our, because we're a team, our informal discussion about that song. Now, if there's anything you should take from this video, down below I want you to write a comment telling me what the song Ivy means to you. Because I've listened to it, I've recorded my reaction, and now I've listened to it a few more times, and the song means something to me, but whatever it means to me, and this is a channel with no research, this is purely straight to you, listen to the song, in here, what it means, out to you. It'll mean something to you, it'll mean something to me. Yes, we could Google it, but music is often more emotional than it is scientific. Having said that, let's bring some physics into the equation. I just quickly banged out a version of Frank Ocean's Ivy to hopefully avoid copyright issues, but also to allow me to deconstruct it for you. So this is my interpretation of that song.
I thought that I was dreaming,
and
when you said you loved me,
the first thing that comes across to me is
the start of nothing. I had no chance to prepare.
It's a song
Couldn't
built
see you coming.
on atmosphere and
The
lyrics.
start of nothing. Ooh, I could hate you now.
And
Quite alright to
it's quite
hate
noticeable,
you now.
the lack of drums,
We both know that deep down,
the lack of any
still
percussion,
deep down
any,
is good.
and the lack of bass.
If I could see through walls,
So once you've got a lack of bass and a lack of drums,
see my thoughts, you would see our faces.
we're into the
Safe in my rental,
realms of the
on the
ethereal.
truck back then. We
All the old style
didn't
folk
give a
song.
fuck back then. I ain't a kid
Folk for the
We'll never
tens.
be those kids again.
So that's my quick interpretation of it, alright? Now, there's a few things I wanted to talk about, and hopefully you're fueled by coffee just like I am, alright? So get yourself a coffee. This might be a long drawn out affair. No research, no script, and apologies if anything I say is wrong. Because I've done no research, I am as capable as the next person of talking absolute bullshit. Don't take my word for granted, alright? Now, the bedrock of this song appears to me to be a palm muted guitar, not a bass guitar. That is uncommon in pop music. The palm muted guitar is really the realm of rock. When you think of Black Sabbath playing Paranoid, or pretty much any rock song, what you tend to get is during the verse of a rock song, there will be a palm muted guitar. And all that means is that when you're playing the strings of the guitar, you rest your strumming hand, you rest the side of your palm on the strings. Just mutes it, stops them ringing, makes it sound more like a bongo drum than a harp. So, what you'll often get is during the verses of rock songs, you will have this kind of sound. And then you'll sing over this. And then when you get to the chorus of said song, the guitar player will usually, not always, but will usually then just release the palm mute and play the strings and they'll ring. In that way, just using that guitar, you get a differential, a difference between the sound of the verse, muted down here, sing over the top of it, be emotional, and the chorus, open, ring. But, as might become the thing over this course of videos, Frank Ocean doesn't really use the palm mute in the way I've just said. He carries the palm mute guitar right through the song. It's actually a replacement for the bass guitar. It performs the role that a bass guitar would usually use. The difference between a guitar and a bass guitar is simply the frequency, simply the pitch of the notes. So a bass guitar is just an electric guitar. It's just bigger, the strings are longer, and the notes are deeper. They're all guitars, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with using an electric guitar in place of a bass guitar. Someone who's standing on a stage, Jeff Buckley style, and I think we'll mention Jeff Buckley again through this video, someone who's just standing there solo, alone, on a stage, playing an electric guitar. You can get everything you need from one instrument. Someone on a piano, someone on a guitar. Pick one instrument. You can change the world with one instrument. But that's not what's going on here. There's layers at play here. There's studio work at play here. Frank Ocean could have had a big deep bass if he wanted. He could have had drums if he'd wanted. But he didn't want, did he? He wanted this to remain up here. Up here, we're all up here. The voice is up here. The guitars are here. And there's nothing below. Nothing below. Ivy, the song with nothing below. So when I do these sort of videos, I like to have something that happens in the song that gives me a kind of a proper topic to talk about. And on this song, it's the fact that you've got primarily two guitars above the palm mute. You've got a guitar in the left ear playing chords, and then a little bit later a guitar comes into the right ear playing chords. But it's what he does with those guitars chord playing. On the track that comes into the left ear, at the very start of the song, there's a picking pattern, but I just bashed the chords out. I ain't got time to learn it. But it's this guitar here. So this is the main guitar of the song. Now, this effect is not a common effect, to be fair, in kind of rock pop music. This is a vibrato. Now, it's quite often mistaken for tremolo. And that's because this effect, let's just carry on playing it, right? This effect is the wavering of pitch. Wavering of pitch. And any guitar players out there will, this effect could be caused by playing notes on a guitar, electric guitar, and they've got a bar on them. If those people aren't guitar players, when you watch a guitar player like your Eric Claptons or whatever, down next to their picking hand, their strumming hand, there'll be a metal bar. And when you hold this metal bar, when you push the bar towards the guitar, it makes the strings more slack and the note goes down, the pitch of the note goes down. And when you pull it, if you can on certain types, Floyd Rose types, when you pull it up, it stretches the strings more and the note goes up. So if you do that with it, the note will go and if you're Eddie Van Halen playing the Beat It solo by Michael Jackson, you can just hit the note, dive bomb, right? So, strum a note, vling, first chord of this song, vling, vling, the fluctuation of pitch, vibrato. The problem is, in the early days of the electric guitar, don't quote me on this is just off the top of my head, so these facts might be wrong, but in the early days of the electric guitar, someone like Leo Fender, who basically invented the electric guitar, there's a bit of a, there's a few people involved, you had your Gibsons and your Fenders, but there was a few influential people at the very beginning, and Leo Fender was one of them, and he put a bar and this movable bridge onto his, whatever guitar it was at the time, the Stratocaster or whatever. And he called it a tremolo bar, a tremolo arm. And forevermore, the bar that changes the pitch on an electric guitar is called the tremolo arm, the tremolo bar. So, whenever anyone hears an effect like this one on this Frank Ocean song, they will call this tremolo. Because of that initial mistake made by the guitar company. This isn't tremolo. This is a fluctuation of pitch. Alright? Now, interesting, and it is interesting because that's the whole crux of this song and what I want to talk about. Tremolo is the fluctuation of volume. So when you strum that same chord on your guitar, you pretend you're Eric Clapton now, right? So we've done a lot of drinking in our time, probably more than coffee. You strum that chord on your guitar, right? Bow, grab the bar, bow. However, there's a volume knob on the guitar. Hit the same chord, and then just put the volume up and down really fast. That's tremolo, the fluctuation of volume. And in this song, Frank Ocean puts a vibrato guitar in your left ear, and a little later, he brings a tremolo guitar into your right ear. He uses both effects. He uses, so it's kind of a lesson to people who have been brought up thinking tremolo's a change in pitch. This song brings vibrato and a tremolo, right? And interestingly, because you've got a guitar in your left ear changing pitch and a guitar in your right ear changing volume, the two do that. And we're back to that again. And I think, you know how much I like that. And layers. But I get the feeling, we're only 2 tracks in at the moment, but Frank Ocean is a man who likes to do this. We're back to that bowl of spaghetti again. And Ivy is another song that's like a bowl of spaghetti. Let's just play the palm mute and the vibrato in the left ear. Actually, he's actually got the palm mute panned off to the right. So, palm mute, vibrato. So you can see there's interplay there already. Now, what happens is he brings in the tremolo guitar. Now, this is the tremolo guitar. Comes in. I could see the walls, I could see you faking. See what I mean? Listen to the difference. That's. Listen to the difference between the two again, right? Vibrato. It's like a wavery, like it's being on a spring. Like trying to play the guitar while you're sat on put a slinky spring into the ceiling on a very, very, very high ceiling, like in a church hall. And then attach yourself to the bottom of it and try and play the guitar. You'll be like this, right? So that's the vibrato, right? The tremolo is more like this. It's like I'm swinging backwards and forwards towards you. So imagine I'm bouncing, right? And now I'm swinging towards you and away from you, right? And when you listen to both at the same time, we're building. And now let's listen to that with a palm mute as well. Now, I like that. So, what I've discussed there is the fact that this very important effect was misnamed in like the 50s or 60s by a guitar company, and there's a whole few generations of people like me that accidentally called the whammy bar on a guitar, the tremolo arm on a guitar, associated the movement of a note up and down with the word tremolo, when in fact, this guitar now in your right ear, fluctuation of volume, that's tremolo. And this is a perfect example of palm mute, tremolo, vibrato all together, just doing that. Now, before we finish here, let's just discuss the vocal that comes in. I do like the fact that there's no intro. There's something quite powerful about just coming in straight away. Boom! She loves you, yeah. She loves you. There's something, historically, musicians will want to have an intro, and some intros can go on for ages and ages. You can have minutes before the vocals come in. And I think, like, especially in the heyday of rock in the 70s, you could do that. You could get away with it. People had patience. People would actually buy albums and listen to whole albums. They would have patience. They would put pieces of vinyl on and they'd drink or smoke or whatever. People had time. Now, in this generation, people have zero time. No one has any tolerance for an intro. And I'm sure over the course of this album, we will have lengthy intros. But this is the example of just hitting it. Boom! She loves you, yeah. So he comes straight in. It used to be for the radio generation. Now, it's for the internet generation, and it's for the streaming generation. It's for the skip generation. It might be for your generation. I might be denigrating pomegranate. denigrating your generation here. So he brings the vocal in. And interestingly with the vocal,
I thought that I was dreaming
he's using,
when you said you loved me.
well, on the first track,
The start of nothing, I had no chance to prepare.
on the first track, Nikes, it was all about vocal affectation. It was all about vocal effect. It was pitch shifting. It was auto-tune. And there is a little bit of that, frighteningly so, at the end of this song. But here, he's going for the kind of properly emotional, in your face, what I would call proximity effect, where you get up close and personal to the microphone so that the bass in your voice comes through. I thought that I was dreaming when you said you loved me. That's the intimacy, right? Let's do that again. The intimacy, right? I thought that I was dreaming when you said you loved me. I had no chance to prepare, I couldn't see it coming. It's different to your standard sort of David Lee Roth style of standing over here. I mean, I said David Lee Roth there just because I've been watching Van Halen videos. Anybody, right? If you sing it from here, where you're supposed to sort of keep about 30 centimetres or so, right? Between the mic, between the pop shield and your mouth, right? So you're supposed to sort of be about here, right? I thought that I was dreaming when you said you loved me. I had no chance to prepare, I couldn't see you coming. It's different. The sound. I had no chance to prepare, I couldn't see you coming. Proximity effect. And to me, although there will be effect on these vocals, it sounds absolutely raw, it sounds reverbless, it sounds just raw recording in your face. There'll be stuff going on. But the contrast between this song and the previous song is, it's like, I was going to say it's like night and day, but it's more than that. It's more than that. It's like, imagine night if you were sitting cross-legged, smoking one of those kind of glass things that they have in India where you blow, you suck and all the bubbles go. So imagine sitting on Mercury, cross-legged. You can even be saying Hare Krishna or something and looking at the night sky. And then imagine sitting on Jupiter during the daytime, sinking through its gas giant. Yeah, you get, it's different anyway. It's very different. And then when you put it all together, that's when you get.
I thought that I was dreaming when you said you loved me.
It comes together.
The start of nothing, I had no chance to prepare, I couldn't see you coming.
Picked.
The start of nothing, ooh, I could hate you now. It's quite alright to hate me now, when we both know that deep down the feeling still deep down is good.
Let's do that. Let's bring in the tremolo. Wash.
If I could see through walls, I could see your
And obviously he goes into a falsetto now.
You could see my thoughts, you would see our faces.
With a little touch of reverb, I noticed.
Like an armored truck back then. We didn't give a fuck back then. I ain't a kid no more.
I find that his vocal phrasings on seemingly simple lyrics are really quite tricky to mimic. When he sings it, it seems normal. If you tried to sing it without him as a guide, if you just try to sing it by yourself, especially that armoured car line, it's well tricky. What I'm finding here is that I don't know much about Frank Ocean, but I am appreciating his musicality and his intellect purely through his music. We're only 2 tracks in, but this is quite sublime, and I really enjoyed this song. I feel like it feels familiar, and it might be because it was a big hit or something and I have heard it before, I don't know, but it feels familiar, it feels warm, it feels cozy, it does feel a little bit like lying on a massive marshmallow, but not sinking so far in that you start to drown, just lying on it and surviving it. It feels like, yeah, it feels like a song about surviving. Surviving first love, surviving young love. I mean, the lyrics, you know, I thought I was dreaming when you said you loved me. And it goes through the fact that we were kids at the time, and we'll never be kids again. And to me, because everyone has their own take on this, like I said at the beginning, to me, it kind of conjures up how powerful love is when you're a teenager. It might be unrequited love, when you're looking at someone from afar and you're thinking, oh, I wish, and you feel it's like your whole being is completely and utterly in love with them. But on this song, it's someone that said they love you back. And he thought he was, you know, I thought I was dreaming when you said you love me. And it's like this, and it feels like it's the be all and end all. But, and I hate to say this to you if you're a youngster, but no matter how much you think that love you're currently with in your teen years, you think it's everything, you'll be together forever. You won't be. And to me, that's what this song's about. Might not be what it's actually about. Frank Ocean might be thinking something completely different, but to me, it's about how love does mean everything in the moment, but also, in hindsight, well, we'll never be kids again. We'll never be kids again. Right, this is the moment I can just quickly Wikipedia the song. I had a little look earlier just to make sure that I pull up the right page. And I did notice one line on there that said, this is on the Wikipedia page for Ivy. Guitars on the track are performed by a musician credited as Fish. And the way that's written, that suggests that no one knows who Fish is. And there's no link to it either. You can't click on the word Fish on the Wikipedia page. So guitars, and these lovely, ethereal, Jeff Buckley-esque. If you haven't listened to Jeff Buckley's Grace, go and listen to it if you like this song. Those kind of dreamy, ethereal, I was going to say like reverb and delay drenched, but just in this song, just the fact it's vibrato and tremolo, there's more to life than reverb and delay. That's what this song is saying. When it said a musician credited as Fish, there is a fish on one of the greatest episodes of Discover we ever did, which was Marillion's Misplaced Childhood. Fish is the singer of Marillion. That's Fish. He's called Fish, the singer of Mercurial. Of course, I can't see why the singer of Mercurial would be playing electric guitar for Frank Ocean, so it's probably a different Fish. But, you know, I'm sure there's lots of people out there reading this Wikipedia page who haven't actually heard of Fish. I'm not sure we've got anywhere else to go here, have we? Let's read it, right? So I never read past that line about the musician credited as Fish. Let's see what the Wikipedia page says about everything that I've just said, because they'll probably disagree with me. Ivy is an indie rock song. I'd agree with that. I got into trouble on the previous video because I made reference to Frank Ocean being a hip-hop or a soul star. Or I was surprised that Nikes didn't fit the hip-hop soul genre. And then someone said in the comments, they said, you shouldn't judge Frank Ocean based on race. A black person is quite capable of playing pop. And I was like, no, it's not race. What do you mean race? I was told that Frank Ocean was part of the Odd Future collective with Earl Sweatshirt and Tyler the Creator. I think it's natural for me to assume, isn't it, that there'd be a lot of hip hop. Now, I'm only 2 tracks in. I was only 1 track in when I made the comment about... Now, right, having been 2 tracks into Blonde, I now get the sense that this may well be more of a pop album. And certainly I'm getting the kind of Brian Wilson, Paul McCartney, Phil Spector influences here. Anyway, it says, Ivy is an indie rock song. Yeah, because I've been referencing the Walkman and Jeff Buckley. So yeah, it's definitely the sort of song that I could have, even during the Britpop era, this could have been on a Britpop band's album. With the track employing heady guitar work, in quotes. The track has been described as a guitar pop reverie and a minimalistic guitar chug. Featuring chiming, palm mute. Oh, okay, they've mentioned palm muted power chords, so I'm in agreement so far with Wikipedia. They've mentioned no percussion. Well, I mean, the track depicts an avant R&B tale of heartbreak, sung over distorted electric guitar, and incorporates the soul and rock of Ocean's earlier work with a hip-hop sensibility. The shimmery guitar intertwines with Ocean's vocals, forming a snake space, described as mesmerising. Yeah, I think we've gone there. I'd call it ethereal and dreamlike. The track's only other musical element is a subtly propulsive bass line. Ooh. Have I missed the fact that there's a bass on there? The track's use of guitar has been compared to the indie rock of Alex G with the sheer, I don't know who Alex G is, let me just check, with the sheer force of Ocean's voice differentiating the song from other intimate strummers. The guitar tone emphasises Ocean's word dreaming, which is repeated in a high-pitched squeal as the track concludes. Yeah, obviously there's the end part of the track, which is where his voice just goes catastrophic through manipulation, through vocal manipulation, which is great, and it's a real contrast to the rest of the song. It's like that. It's like chalk and cheese, or sitting on Mercury compared to sitting on Jupiter. The track then features multiple seconds of indeterminate background noise. Yeah, I thought it sounded at the end of the track like he's smashing up the studio. Smashing up the recording studio. And that's a choice. That means something. Alex G, no, not Big Star. What was he? Alex G. Indie rock musician, 2010 to present. Alexander Gianoskoli, better known as Alex G, is an American musician, producer, and singer-songwriter. He started his career DIY on Bandcamp, blah, blah, blah. Don't know, never heard of him. Doesn't matter. I'm allowed, and also, I'm allowed to have never heard of people. I've probably heard lots of people that you haven't heard of. The person who said, how can you not have heard of Earl Sweatshirt when you've heard of Tyler the Creator? I haven't heard of anybody. I'm only listening to this stuff because I hadn't even really heard of Frank Ocean. The track's only other musical element is a subtly propulsive bass line. I mean, I believed it was a bass line. Oh, I believed it was a bass line performed by a palm muted guitar. However, this Wikipedia page seems to suggest it's a bass line. So I'm having to read the Wikipedia around the edge of the camera, which is a bit stupid, isn't it? Let me just listen to the song again a minute. I can't hear a bass guitar on that at all. It all sounds like the palm mute electric guitar driving a bass line, but not in the bass frequency. It's a low down, it's a deep guitar sound. Let me just check one thing here. Let me just check mine again. Do this. If I get it too wrong, everyone will be like, oh God, listen to what he was saying. Listen to what he was saying. Okay, well, I'm just going to say that I think the bass of the song is being driven by an electric guitar rather than a bass guitar. But if I'm wrong, I'm prepared to accept that, because it's very hard sometimes. Especially, I'll tell you the era that was tricky with that sort of thing was when Oasis released the likes of Definitely Maybe and What's the Story, Morning Glory, around sort of 94, 95. In that they had those couple of albums mixed, so you couldn't hear the bass guitar at all. The bass was there, but it just got mixed into the rest of the song. And there's quite a few bands where quite often you just can't. What's the bass doing? What's the bass doing? What's the bass doing? If the bass is just following the guitar, it's quite tricky, and then you're just left with a murky. And when you've got like a quagmire of doing this, like shimmering like this, quite difficult to pick out individual instruments. But I also noticed, just having a little quick listen through the song again, then there was a few kind of delay, time effects going on the guitars, very similar. It's like, I think Radiohead's Karma Police had a big influence on like the hip hop and the soul and the pop community, because a lot of the effects there, which is simply taking, I've got an old Karma Police delay over there actually, simply taking a delay and changing the repeat rates and the intensity, all this sort of stuff at the end, like the end of Karma Police. There's a little bit of that going on here, and there's a couple of touches where they slam it on the vocals. Overall, this is a really clever song. A really clever song hidden in the guise of sheer simplicity. A clever, simple, emotional song. Tell me what you think of it down below, my mercenaries. What do you think of this song? What does it mean to you? And let me know if you want more of these, because I do admit they might have the ability, these sort of videos might have the ability to bore people. However, just think about it. If I did this for every song on Frank Ocean's Blonde, and then you watched and you linked all the videos together in a playlist, like I'll probably do, and watched it through, you'd probably have the most complicated, complex, complete dissection of the music of Frank. You probably tell me now. Is there another? Don't tell me. There's another whole video series out there, isn't there? It's already done all this. I'm sure. Okay. Thank you, my mercenaries. Just let me know. Over. Whatever. Over. And